Hi Dollar Divas, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a chatty get ready with me and kind of diving into what I find to be a very interesting topic, and that is our perception of beauty and how it's changed over the years and where it lies today. So beauty, the standard of beauty is always changing. It used to be we had magazines and Photoshop, and in today's world we now have social media and filters. And it's robbing us of what people really look like, and also where plastic surgery plays a part in that, which is not a new concept. It's just changed. But all these things are robbing us of people's uniqueness and the features that make people uniquely beautiful and make people stand out from the next person. So I find this to be a very interesting topic. This video was inspired by a YouTuber named Kelly Gooch. I will have her video linked down below as well as her channel. She does videos like this and I found them to be very interesting, and I agreed with her on so many of these points as well. So I just thought this would be really fun. I'm just gonna put on some makeup. Most of it's Dollar Tree. Some other stuff is some things I'm wanting to use up. So yeah, we're gonna just kind of dive into this topic, and of course, as always, definitely comment and let me know different things like which of your features are typically would be considered maybe unattractive that you like, and of course I'll tell you mine and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we're just gonna really dive into this topic today. I thought it would be super fun. Of course, I do hope you'll become part of our Dollar Diva community here on YouTube and join the party with us, and as always I'll have related content linked down below, that way you can catch up on what we've been doing here. So without any further chit chat, let's just go ahead and get into today's video. So for my brows, I'm gonna try to use up this IONI brow pencil. I think it's in probably dark brown. As you can see, I'm on the tail end of it. It does need to be sharpened. So generally, over decades, over the course of your lifetime, if you really get to thinking about like the perception of beauty, what we consider beautiful at any given time, it generally, so over like a population, there are certain features, you know, and it could vary from country to country, from culture to culture, but generally speaking, if you take the sum of all of the features of a group of people and you get the average, that is generally, of course this is general. This isn't like necessarily how I think or you think. It's just a general idea. So the idea is that kind of the average of all of the features is kind of the quote unquote standard of beauty, what is considered most attractive. And it actually becomes a prototype, so to speak. And so today what we're seeing through social media, today's standard overall is super smooth skin, eyes that are turned upward, and of course, big, full lips. And of course, that's not even getting into bodies, which today everyone is kind of striving for this really tiny waist and, you know, big giant butt. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of been on like overdrive in the last several years. But we're not really talking about bodies today. We're really talking more about facial features. And of course, in that is also very small, like refined noses. Okay, I'm gonna brush my brows out, and I'm gonna clean them with some LA Colors Conceal and Correct. This is kind of, I think, getting down to the bottom. At some point, I may need to take the stopper out. I might actually be getting there sooner rather than later. I'm gonna, of course, use that later on to conceal. So I primed my eyes with some LA Colors eye primer, and we're gonna move on to eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna be digging into the Kleancolor Megawatts palette. I found this at Dollar Tree some time ago. I have done looks with this palette before, and I might just kind of do like a one and done with this. I think I'm really just kind of wanting to go into like this shade right here. It's like a really shimmery, mossy green. So over the last 5 years, there has been a surge in plastic surgery. So it's no secret, people have been getting plastic surgery for years. Breast implants and liposuction and facelifts and, you know, and filler has been a thing for a long time as well. But what we're seeing now that is a little bit different is there's like an increase in like younger people getting it. And not so much, it's not even so much like an anti-aging tool. It's more so now for young women to change their features, to get those really big lips and get that aesthetic. And it's all to fit a beauty standard that you guys have to understand. The idea of a filter. You know, Photoshop was one thing because at least there was like an art to Photoshop. Like you had to, you know, be good at using Photoshop to like edit like in a major magazine. You know, there was an art to it to where it was like undetectable. And we've all seen those like Photoshop fails where you could see where something was done. But generally speaking, you know, it was undetectable, and it created, you know, and so, you know, pictures of, you know, back in the day, Cindy Crawford didn't even look like Cindy Crawford. I mean, she's still a beautiful woman, but she was still kind of nipped and tucked and blurred in a photo. I'm going to put another like shade into my crease just to define my eyes a little bit, and I'm going to put that shade right there. I just want to get a little bit of definition in my crease. So butt lifts alone increased by 256% between 2000 and 2018. You know, of course, back in the day, like when J-Lo first came on the scene, the idea of having like a bigger butt became a standard, whereas it was more, you know, breasts kind of beforehand. But then that really kind of took a major turn. J-Lo kind of made the idea of having a bigger butt desirable. And then at some point it kind of went into overdrive where it could not be big enough, you know. But again, like I said, this is not about bodies, it's about faces. And so there is a surge in plastic surgery with young women and their faces as well. And I'm going to read this. There is a gradual emergence among professionally beautiful women of a single cyborgian face. It's a young face, of course, young, with poreless skin, plump high cheekbones, has cat-like eyes, long cartoonish lashes, it has a small neat nose and full lush lips. It looks at you coyly but blankly. The face is distinctly white but ambiguously ethnic. And this is another interesting, it suggests a National Geographic composite illustrating what Americans will look like in 2050. Basically, like if everyone was a descendant of like the Kardashians. So I'm just going to put on a coat of mascara. I'm going to be putting on lashes, but I'm just going to this is the Beauty Intuition mascara, the one that comes in the rose gold tube. So like I said, at least Photoshop was an art. It took a person kind of finagling a photo. You know, of course, when people would do photo shoots, they'd take thousands of photos. They would pick the absolute best one and then Photoshop it quite a bit. But now, you know, you go on TikTok and Instagram, there's just these filters, and you know, and of course there's like the obvious, like the Snapchat filters where you know they're a filter with the ears and the all that stuff. But some of these y'all on TikTok are scary. Like you would not know if you didn't know that they existed. Like you would just think there's this perfectly flawless, beautiful person with the most perfect makeup. And y'all, I mean, no doubt that these women are beautiful and these girls are beautiful, but they're filters. It's not actually what. They're not as perfect as the filter makes them look, of course. I'm gonna add some IONI liner. I'm kind of trying to get rid of this. It's not like my favorite liner. But yeah, I do think it is very interesting that people are tending to get plastic surgery younger and really to change their face. So I'm just going to put on some lashes. I'm going to use up these. I've had these for a while. I think I got them at like Dollar General. They're the Broadway Wispy lashes. And so I'm going to apply these and I will be right back. Okay, lashes are on. We're going to come back and finish up the eyes, but we're going to move on to the face as always. I'm trying to use up this Believe Beauty Skin Finish Tinted Moisturizer. This is in Buff. I've got another shade as well, and I just apply this with my fingers because it's like a tinted moisturizer. It has good coverage though. Just something I randomly found at Dollar Tree a couple of years ago. So lips are of course a big feature right now. You know, they're something that, you know, people want these big full lips much more than what's generally natural. You know, there are people that have big full lips very, very naturally, but it seems like you almost can't have them be full enough by today's standards. And it used to be too, this is another standard that has changed. It used to be what was desirable with lips was what's called the golden ratio. It's a 1 to 1.6 ratio, which basically what it does is with lips, it makes the top lip just slightly, it makes the bottom lip just slightly fuller than the top lip. And that used to be what was considered like perfection. You know, if you had that type of lip ratio, it was considered what was beautiful. It was kind of the beauty standard. Now, of course, it's just big on top, big on bottom. And of course the Cupid bow has kind of gone away as well, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. Everyone's just doing big rounded top lips. I'm gonna put on some of this ICVC Oil Control powder. I think I got this from either Shein, I think it was Shein, either Shein or Temu, one of the two. And I'm just gonna apply it with a brush, I'm not gonna press it under my eyes. And it's all over me. This is a very light and fluffy loose powder, obviously. So messy, y'all. And this ratio was no accident. It wasn't just made up. It was actually taken from ancient Greek sculptures and Renaissance paintings. I think it even used to be that like more than a few years ago, when people first started getting lip filler, like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, people were getting the top lip bigger than the bottom. Now it's a little bit more of an even look. which is also interesting because it's like it kind of flip-flopped to where the top lip should be bigger than the bottom lip. And that is actually how I try to do my lips, where the top lip is bigger. I guess it's just because of the generation that I came from, versus now it's more of a 50-50 ratio, or 1-to-1, I guess you could say. So I kind of want to use up this NARS, it's a contour kit. I've used up all the light shade. I want to use up this dark shade. I'm just going to use it as a bronzer. It needs to go, y'all. I've had this for a long time. And sometimes I have to do this. Usually I always use the light color up first, and then I just end up kind of using the darker shade as a bronzer. This one here is in the shade Paloma. This is just a splurge buy from several years ago. So I did a video here talking about trends and the idea that makeup, everything is about money. Everything is about money. Trends are makeup companies telling you what they want to sell. And so that's what's in, that's what's popular. Fashion, what's going to be in is the fashion companies. They come up with fashion and it's like, oh, hot pink is coming back this year, And so it's all about money and selling product, always, whether it's fashion, makeup. And we easily become a little bit brainwashed. It's very easy, especially younger people, you know what I mean? When you're a little older, it's, you see through it a little bit more. You just don't care as much. But when you're younger, you're especially susceptible. Actually makes a really nice bronzer color. So I just did a makeup declutter, and it's just part one. I've got other categories to do, but I did blush, bronzer, highlighter, and a couple other random categories. This is like my old NARS blush. The container is disgusting. I have hit pan, but I want to really try to use this up. It's a powder product, so it's like still good. Like, I'm not afraid. So, the idea that there's a standard right now about beauty isn't really a problem. You know what I mean? It's been going on forever, like our whole lives. You know what I mean? It's just changing. And it's ever changing. So it's really not a problem. I mean, it's just the way it's always been. So today's no different than 20 years ago. The problem is when, like I said, we're constantly exposed, especially younger people, and we are more easily manipulated than we think or would like to believe. I'm gonna use my Wet n Wild Mega Cushion highlighter. I don't use this very much, and I should. It comes with like a little puff. I might use it. It's just this little cushion highlighter. This is in the shade Who's That Pearl. So in Kelly's video, she did a little segment in the video talking about things that weren't considered really beautiful and attractive in today's standards, and how she feels about them, how she thinks it's beautiful. And so she talked about this actress. I don't watch this show, but the show White Lotus, I've heard about it. Apparently it's all the rage right now, but there's an actress named Amy Lee Woods in that show, or Amy Lee Wood. Excuse me. That's done a really nice job. I really should use this more. Like I said, I'm a little afraid of them drying out, although it's not dried out. So her teeth are a big topic of conversation on social media. And people are really finding her so beautiful because her teeth, they're not perfect. They stick out a little bit. They've got spaces. And it's really trending on the internet. People are just absolutely mesmerized by her teeth and how they make her look uniquely beautiful. But the interesting thing is that she's also seen as rebelling because she didn't fix them or isn't fixing them to fit in with the standards. And it's seen as rebelling when the way Kelly puts it in her video, and I loved the way she said this, is that she's not rebelling. She is simply like living with the teeth she was given. Like she's literally just being, and it's seen as rebelling and making a statement. But the idea that she's not conforming is like, ugh. But people are seeing her as being uniquely beautiful, and that is a beautiful thing. I think that's great. It does show some humanity, that people aren't completely so past the point of being gone that they can't see that this is what makes her unique and what makes her look different and stand out from other actresses. So I'm going to finish up the eyes. I'm going to put some of this e.l.f. eyeliner in my waterline. And so, which brings me to the point that Kelly didn't mention this person, but the idea of Jewel, remember the singer Jewel? I guess she's still around. She had those crooked teeth, and she never got them done. I don't think she ever has. I don't even think to this day. I want to say that I read something years ago about how if she was always afraid if she changed them, it would change how she sang. That's why a lot of times singers like Barbra Streisand's and even Lea Michele. Lea Michele said a quote one time that divas don't get nose jobs because it could change the sound of your voice. A nose job is actually something that I thought I would have needed if I wanted to become famous when I was younger, even though my nose really isn't as big as, it's not really considered a big nose. It's just a little bit more prominent than some. And what really changed my mind was, I know Kim Kardashian's, she's getting older, but she's not old. She's, just a little older than me. I miss her original face, y'all. I miss the hair on her, the little baby hairs on her hairline. I miss her nose. I miss her lips the way they were. And when I saw her transformation and the idea that I missed her nose, a nose job never crossed my mind again, ever. So thank you, Kim. I mean, she's still beautiful, like I said, you know, and she's free and to do whatever it is she wants. But she was so beautiful before. You know, and Jewel would just look like every other blonde woman, you know what I mean? She would look so average, but instead, when you see Jewel smile, you know it's Jewel because of her teeth. Another case in point, and this one, y'all, this is one of those like heartbreaking ones from, what is it, Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. I'm gonna go and smoke out a little bit under my eyes. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and use that shade that I used to put in the crease. This isn't gonna be like a giant effect, it's just gonna be a little effect. So Jennifer Grey, of course, you know, when she was in Dirty Dancing, she had a prominent nose, you know? Very reminiscent of like Barbara Streisand and stuff like that. Getting a nose job ruined her career. No one then knew who she was. And I'm sure she, you know, she either did it because she had an agent that told her that she needed to or she'd get more work, or she just felt really self-conscious about it. Anyways, I don't know the story as to why she did, but it hurt her career because it made her unrecognizable. So, you know, it's just, again, people really appreciated what made her different, what made her look like her. And then I never really noticed this about Rihanna, honestly, but Kelly kind of mentioned it, that she has a big forehead. And then when you look at pictures, she does, but she's still beautiful. And it was also pointed out that, you know, a lot of times, like if we have a big forehead or we have certain features, we're kind of like, oh, I can't wear bangs, or I have to have bangs, or I have to do this, or I can't wear short hair or something like that. And the cool thing about Rihanna is she don't care. She experiments with all different kinds of hairstyles, and she's never let it stop her from not having bangs, or having bangs, or wearing her hair short. And I think that just shows such a comfort in who she is. I'm gonna put a little something on the inner corner. Question is what? I think I'm gonna probably use that lightest shade. You know me. Use a thin brush. Just go in on the inner corner. I totally, y'all, forgot to conceal under my eyes. I've done that twice now in videos. Not loving that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not loving it because I don't have concealer in my eyes. I'm just gonna do that real quick. Doesn't take but a minute. I know I get a lot of comments on my eyelid space, and I never knew it was really a thing. And I know a lot of people have hooded eyes, and everyone kind of wants my eyelid space, but honestly, I think hooded eyes are beautiful, and I actually am, because it's different than what I have. I'm actually a little envious of how hooded eyes wear eyeshadow. I feel like you can see certain eyeshadow better on a hooded eye than on like my lid. Sometimes I feel like my eyelid just gets sucked up into my like eyelid bone, if that's the right word. So I know that's always like a topic of conversation. But yeah, I think hooded eyes, which aren't technically they're not what is desirable, but I've never known it to be a thing until I got on YouTube, seriously. Like I said, I'm not loving this shade in the inner corner, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish it. My setting spray is starting to, spray is kind of pooping out on me, y'all. I'm gonna have to put another top on it because it's still got a lot of life left. Okay, I don't like what that did, but I didn't really do a lot, but it's okay. So for lips, I'm gonna use my IONI lip liner. This is a Mombasa Spice, and then I haven't used this in a long time. This is LA Colors Nude Glam Lipstick. This is in Bear With Me, so it's just a kind of a nude color. So then we get down to the features that we are born with. So if you're born with hooded eyes, or you're born with, you know, full, beautiful brows. I know I wasn't. Or if you were born with thinner lips. The idea that the odds are, just like hair color, generally we're gonna be born with the right features. You know, if you were born with thin lips, there's nothing wrong with you. Like the actress from years ago, Helen Hunt, has thin lips. She's beautiful. I couldn't possibly imagine what she would look like with big, full lips. I think they fit her face, and they are what makes her beautiful. But the idea is that, you know, you probably wear whatever the feature is that you have well. That's like a really nice nude. That's like a perfect nude shade. And the combination is really good. Like that is actually something I could wear on stage. It's like a dark enough nude without being too dark. Like it still feels like it's nude. So there we go. Just a nice little Shop My Stash makeup look. So in conclusion, there will always be beauty trends and a standard at a given time as to what is considered beautiful by the masses. But as always, we should definitely embrace what makes us unique and beautiful. Of course, there's things that might want to fix. Like for me, I would love a neck lift. But I'm not wanting to really change my face. I'm just wanting to you know, and will I do it? I don't know. But yeah, it's just, as always, as in any, you know, this isn't new. As always, we just have to kind of try to look past it and embrace not only ours, but other people's unique features that makes them beautiful and what makes them uniquely them. So definitely let me know in the comment section how you feel about this topic. What are some features that you have that wouldn't necessarily be considered desirable that you like about yourself? Like I said, for me, it's more prominent nose has always, you know, has kind of always been, you know, has been something that I ended up really, really liking and appreciating about my face. So definitely let me know yours. I love talking to you all. If you enjoyed this video, show me you did by hitting the like button. I will have all this makeup listed down below in the description box, as well as some related content. Definitely give my other videos a binge watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.